When you talk about who killed the creative, I don't know how you're set up, but I'm sure, like at Weiss or some of the different places, I'm sure a lot of times when the creative goes out, that the account team is probably in charge of that presentation. They may bring the creatives with you, but that's going to depend on whether you're a good presenter or not. And so when it goes out there, if it's not presented right, there's a good chance that your creative is not going to get produced, and if it doesn't get produced, everybody's upset, costs a lot more money, all these different things, okay? So the basis that I really go by is sell the idea of the work before you sell the work. You gotta put yourself on the same level with them, and you've gotta make it personal. Because if you don't do that, now you're gonna get up and you're going to start to present, and it's gonna come off all fake. The last thing you wanna do is stand up here and be slick. So if you use and go in as that giving aspect, it brings the value of what you're bringing to the table up immediately, okay? Turn this thing into a conversation. And that's, the one thing, the fact that you've taken it into that gift role, you've now made it personal, get a conversation going, kind of a relationship going with whoever you're presenting. Now that can be difficult because sometimes you're going to be presenting in front of an auditorium of people, and sometimes you're walking in and it's 2 or 3 people. Everything I ever do, I walk in with chalkboards. I still go back to the blackboards with everything glued on it, whatever it is, so that I can have something in my hand that I can make a note. If somebody makes a comment, I can immediately go up and put it up there so that we don't forget about it and we can come back to it. And it really keeps it more in that almost a classroom, kind of situation where it stays personal. If you don't have the opportunity to sell it, you're just asking for trouble, and it's really, really hard not to do that, but you almost have to require it out of your clients. And if you can teach your clients to be that way, they know that that's just the case. They're not going to get to see it without you being there or in touch with them in some fashion. I'll tell you what, it comes down to one thing. It comes down to money. Because I know you're here to try to sell greater work, and that is really the ultimate goal of what we're trying to do, because I'm an art director by trade. Believe me, quality is the first thing I want, it comes even above how much money we're making and all that type of thing, because I truly believe that if you sell quality, the value in what you're going to make is going to keep going up for you. But the thing is, if you look around the agency, I'm sure at Weiss, the people making the most money are the people that are presenting. The people, and now I'm assuming they're good presenters. So, but the better the presenter, I truly believe, the better chance you have of moving up the ladder and becoming more dominant wherever you're working. The key is storytelling, and it's pretty basic. You have a beginning, a middle, and an end to every story. I like to throw in there a little bit. I always like to say, in that middle section, you have a villain and a hero and probably an event. And if you really look at the work you're doing, you can line those up, and whether it's your product that's the hero, what's the real challenge, that's your villain, and something in there, when those two things come together, is going to be your event. Right there gives you the opportunity to set up a story to make emotional connection with your audience, or the group that you're presenting to be able to establish where you want to wrap this thing before you show them the creative. Use this middle part a lot, to set up the emotional thing. Just try to think slow, so that when you get nervous, and maybe you'll be somewhere balanced in between. There's nothing wrong with nothing, okay? If you have to, stop, and every time you stop, everybody's waiting for that next thing to come out. So use that to your advantage and to collect your thoughts just a little bit. I understand if you're going in and selling one ad, you're not going to put this big, huge presentation together. But you're still going to need that 5 or 10 minutes with the director of marketing to get him out of his meeting that he was just in, into your world, and set him up, remind him or her of the situation at hand, whether that's reminding them a little bit about some of the few main points, but setting up, once again, when I say the storytelling, but you don't have to have riddles, and you don't have to have all these funny little stories and stuff all the time. Take the facts, though, and put them into some kind of a story just so that it helps him get his head back into the game again, so that when you do show him the creative, it clicks for him. If you have to, the one thing I've always found, just like the gift giving, just tell people, I tell you, and it never fails, it works. I need your help on this. You know, help me understand. As soon as you ask them and say, I need your help in order for me to do what's right, they can't say no. They've got to answer you. But so if you can put it back on them by making them help you, then they're going to tell you why you're there.